Television has entered into a new golden age ushered in by streaming services. To understand how streaming saved television, we're going to have to go back to a time when influencers were called TV personalities, when ads were synonymous with bathroom breaks, when staying home from school sick meant deciding between watching either Nick Jr. or The Price is Right. I'm talking about the peak of cable television. Before streaming services had the money and clout to create original programming, networks would spend money to create shows and then recoup the costs by selling ad space. That means that ads were baked into the content's time length. Looking at shows that originally aired on network television, the runtimes are typically about 22 or 44 minutes long, so they can fit into either 30 or 1 hour time slots to ensure there is plenty of time for commercials. These cookie cutter one-size-fits-all time slots made ambitious ideas harder to realize. While most TV shows utilize story structure, the predetermined runtimes force TV shows to follow a strict formula. But streaming services aren't 100% funded through ads, so they don't have to follow such stringent runtimes. And even if you have a streaming plan that includes ads, they can be shoehorned wherever in the episode. This liberation from ads allows episodes to organically run as long as they need to. One episode may be 23 minutes, and the next could be 27, and the next could be 31 minutes. The content drives the runtime opposed to the ads driving the runtime. And you might be thinking, but Phil, it's just an extra couple of minutes. Does it really make such a big deal? And it does. Just adding 180 seconds to a show is more than a 10% increase for a 22-minute episode. In just 3 minutes for a Simpsons episode, Bag Boys can go on strike, which leads to Springfield having food shortages, making the Simpsons family find a box of old animal crackers where they win a trip to Africa. A lot of great content was left on the cutting room floor in the past because there just wasn't enough time, but that is no longer the case. The next boon to television thanks to streaming is now shows can reach a niche audience. Back when networks controlled television, they wanted shows with mass appeal because they were safe bets. With a maximum of about 48 time slots a day, gambling with shows just wasn't worth the risk. That's why so many shows pre-streaming feel like clones of one another, and even shows that seem more unique share traits with other popular shows. How many family sitcoms are there with overweight, goofy dads with hot wives? This formula just appeals to the most amount of people, meaning more eyeballs on the ads. But these shows can't give that unique perspective that a show about Native American teenagers living on a reservation or a group of gay spies can. And even if these shows don't appeal to you specifically, someone will watch them. Streaming allows viewers to watch whatever they want when they want it, so shows can take more risks. Those safer, more mass appeal shows can still exist, but now viewers find shows that are more relevant to them. And finally, streaming has saved television with the expansion of serialized shows. A serialized show is where each episode contributes to an overall plot opposed to each episode telling its own self-contained story. Think about a serialized show like Stranger Things versus an episodic show like Fresh Off the Boat. While having a serialized structure isn't required to create an outstanding show, it does make showing character development, how relationships change over time, and other qualities of an outstanding show much easier to pull off. There have been tons of successful serialized shows before streaming was a thing, like Breaking Bad, The Wire, Battlestar Galactica, and just all those crappy daytime soap operas. But because each episode is so vital to the overall plot, you really need to watch all of them to get the full picture. Arrested Development might be the best example of why the serial format was so risky pre-streaming. While beloved by fans, Arrested Development was canceled after only 3 seasons. Episodes were so full of callbacks that people who didn't watch from the very beginning couldn't keep up. The show got revitalized once it landed on streaming and people could watch at their own pace. Networks wanted an episodic structured TV show because it was easier for the consumer. Without streaming, you're not in control of what episodes are shown when. Viewers needed to be able to jump into a random individual episode without resistance. And again, serialization is not needed to be great, but it seems that people gravitate towards them more, probably because they are more complex and in-depth. There's even been a great increase in serialized kids shows like Camp Cretaceous or Tales of Arcadia. TV has gone through many ups and downs throughout the years, but it seems like streaming has elevated television to new heights thanks mostly to the elimination of ads and the convenience of streaming. Ads kept shows contained within restrictive time slots with safe, tested formulas. And when viewers weren't in control of when they watched content, making more complex shows was harder for audiences that couldn't religiously watch.